Hey y'all, can you tell that I was just flopping my hair from side to side? I don't know what I want to give y'all today, so we're just gonna let it fall where it lay and lay where it fall. Amen. Happy Thursday, happy November. Just happy. I'm leaning on everybody's energy tonight because Mama is tired. Okay. But we gonna press on through this thing, and this thing gonna be good, just like it's been. Okay. So before we even get into anything, welcome back to another episode of the B Mix right here only on BigSpoolsRadio.com. You already know who Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time are for. Everyone, the unseen, the unheard, the overlooked, the forgotten, whether it be the forgotten part of you or for the person that does not belong anywhere. Me be so welcome. And while we're in the habit of welcoming, welcome back, Jasmine.
Hi.
Hey, Jazz. Thank you for coming
Thanks
back.
for having me again and again.
What's going on with my eye? Forgive me. But of course, thank you for, I don't know, you crazy just like the rest of us here to keep on coming back. And we appreciate you. So thank you.
I love a good conversation.
And you know what? Yes. And I love, truthfully, like personally, I love to hear that. I think that is one of like the best things to hear people in general say, because I'm a conversationalist by nature.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that really, I think I can really step out and say everything. I find myself saying or having said often, like, everything deserves a conversation, right? And I really believe that, like, even the, as we talk about a lot here on the B-Mix, like the uncomfortable conversations, things that we just really don't want to have to talk about. And I feel like as I reflect often, like my whole life has just been like that thing that's inside me of like, I'm this introvert. Nobody really knows it because they might know the extrovert, part of me, but God is forcing me. I got to talk about this thing. And so here it is, and then I just over time have found better ways to, deliver it or something. But either way, just to have a conversation. So I absolutely love to hear somebody say like, yeah, I love to have a good conversation. Yes. That's the mindset I want to.
I'm the same exact way because I usually, I guess in most environments, tend to show up really playful, like fun, silly. And I guess some environments quiet, but that just is like if I'm not fully familiar with everybody in the room or certain people make me feel uncomfortable. But other than that, yeah, I'm usually pretty silly and childlike. So I really wanted to bring more balance into the world by showing the other sides of me more.
Good. That's so hold on to that. That's good. That's gonna get us right into I don't even know what's going on with my eye. And I don't know. So if it starts looking red, it's because I've been rubbing it. Literally since we started rolling. It wasn't bothering me not a second beforehand. I thought it was just because I was sleeping. Either who. But hold on to that, Jazz. Hold on to that. That's good. Yeah, it's good. Okay, so because I was about to jump right into notes, but it's November, so I'm back in our calendar from the Equal Justice Initiative. It is our moment of a history of racial injustice, and I'm going to show you. Every month I always show y'all the new photo for the month. I'm trying to get it to where y'all can see it pretty well. And this is a photo from the Underwood Archives of Getty Images from November 1960. First grader Gail Etienne sits in the backseat of a car driven by a federal marshal as she and Leona Tate, Tessie Prevost, and Ruby Bridges integrate formerly white-only schools in New Orleans. Sorry, I'm trying to say New Orleans. And so our moment of a history of racial injustice for today, November 4th, is dated in 1890. Benjamin Tillman, a white supremacist who advocated violence against Black voters and opposed education for African Americans is elected governor of South Carolina. So there's that. He just only advocated
Wow.
violence against Black voters and was totally opposed for education for African Americans and was elected as governor. So especially living through the times that we are still living in, but definitely just lived through 4 years of hell under, y'all's president out there, whoever claims him. I just say y'all's because, I'm not judging, but just whomever claims him, because there are plenty. Unfortunately, there are plenty that claim him. And so even thinking of that and this, it automatically makes me think of not who, what is it that goes through the minds of folks that just blatantly choose wrong, like choose incorrectly, choose to do, just what's not right. And that takes us right into our topic for tonight, which is, what are y'all talking about over there? And it's not you and him, you and her, you and them. I'm trying to cover all pronouns, right? But so not the conversation between you and him, not the conversation between you and her, not the conversation between you and them, rather the conversation between you and yourself. What are y'all talking about over there? You and you. What are y'all talking about? And so, Jazz, you remember that piece that I said, hold on to? Okay, good.
I actually had something I wanted to say about.
Yeah, please. I was about to say, because I was about to cut right into you. So now say what you were saying earlier.
I forgot what I was saying.
Okay.
Showing the different sides of myself in a more serious light. Because I am a very deep thinker. And when you just talked about the mindset, and I was thinking about this guy who did not want us to read, which stood out to me the most, even though the voting thing is a big thing as well. But that was kind of something I was already more, well versed on. But I would imagine that it wouldn't be any different than present day of the challenge that we all face, which is competing against other people to survive, to get by, whether it be obtain employment or whatever. And so in that time, I'm sure we always have social problems in some way. And, unfortunately, during that time period, we only kind of know the Black against the white more so than what exactly was going on in that entire time period with financially anyway, with people. But I would imagine they would think that allowing Black people to get to a place that they are already at, some of them probably were definitely intimidated and felt like they could potentially lose their jobs to them, just like currently people feel like they'll lose their jobs to immigrants. And so feeling like people may surpass them. And if they don't keep these people beneath them, then they may lose their power or their leverage or whatever keeps them higher than, in their minds, whatever keeps them higher than anybody else. But in actuality, those things do keep people higher than other people. So it would be, if that's the mindset that you were in, an effective mindset, an unfair one, for sure. Because just like he worries about how he's going to feed his family, of course, the Black man would too. And so that's not fair. We're all having the same human experience, and we all got to survive.
That's good. I'm going to repeat that. That is your B tip of the week. We all are having the same human experience. We're all having a human experience. And so when you get to a point where you can really realize that we're all having the same one, it just may look a little different. That's a really good level or a good, it's a high vibration. Look, I'm trying to do better. But, just
good.
At the least, wherever you find yourself on your journey, at least acknowledge. And even I'm okay with people. I will say this, I will go on record saying this, that I am, because there's so much I know that I press, and I probably haven't said it in a while here on the B Mix, but I usually used to give the intro and say that, we are all about raw, authentic, and organic material here, which is still the same, even though I haven't said it. It's just been happening, right? And so I guess I just haven't felt led to say it, over and over again. But to say that, so while I still stand by that firmly, I am okay with, because in being authentic, being organic, being real, being raw, right? That with material and just conversations, it's still healthy to acknowledge what is not authentic, right? What is not raw, what is not organic, because unfortunately we live in a world full of it. And so like I'm looking forward to the day where it's like, it's you're taken aback, like, oh, that's not, we're all authentic here. This is crazy. That the unicorn is not being authentic, rather than the flip side. And so, still, with all that being said, I can go on record by saying that I'm okay with certain things, that we fake it till we make it type thing. So I'm okay with, if you find yourself having to rehearse and say things just to get yourself to practice or channel that energy of eventually really living out the life of, being real. So if it is, what did you just say before I get into this part about intimidation? Because that was a big piece. About just practicing saying, we're all having a human experience. Even if you don't believe that right now, I'm okay with you faking that and repeating that and saying that, and then continue to practice that until it just becomes a part of your own human nature and your own psyche, to where then it truly opens your eyes to see it in a different way, and to see exactly what you've been faking it to say and faking yourself out to believe, until you actually believe it.
You know where I got that from?
What? Where?
I actually got that from Dave Chappelle's most recent stand-up.
Love it, Kay. Kay, thank you. We love Dave Chappelle here.
He didn't say it, but his story, when he was talking about a transgender comedian that he knew.
Okay.
And people were asking her all these questions while she was performing and kind of making fun of her. She said, you guys don't need to understand me. You just need to know that I am a human having a human experience. It's powerful.
That's good. That's good. I'm floored by that. That's good. Yeah. That's real. That is just that powerful. Yeah, I'm a human, just having a human experience, which literally is all of us. And it makes us kind of revolt back to, the golden rule, of just getting us right, treating others how you would want to be treated. And then, but we understand that now in our adult life, is that a lot of people have their stuff that they have not worked through, that they are not working through. And so you may be okay with being treated like crap. And so that's what makes you, and in your mind, justifies you treating other people like crap, and not seeing it or acknowledging that that's how you are treating people, or that's how you're coming off, and that's what you are expecting. You're expecting less of and less from people because you expect less of yourself. When in all actuality, you deserve better and deserve more. You just don't know that yet. And so in the golden rule of really, it takes us back to self-care. It takes us back to self-love. It takes us, into all of the things that we have been talking about, especially in the past month, and well over this year, over a year now, just on the B Mix in general. And I mean, it's everywhere now, or it's a lot more places than it has been. I won't say everywhere, because there's still, of course, more work to do to push the piece about really getting and encouraging folks to love on self and take care of self, because like we said, probably last week or a few weeks ago, of just the fact that feeds, the part of you that makes you want to treat people better. You treat yourself better. And so to speak to the part of where you said intimidation, that was part of it. I already thought that was powerful. And then when you just added the piece of what she said, about the fact of simply being a human, having a human experience, to remember that, everybody has their stuff. If anything, I think that's really the goal. I think there are some key golden rules that we should abide by. I think there are some pillars that we really should consider at all costs. Before we can even get to the actual golden rule that we learned probably like kindergarten or something, of like I said before, treating people how you want to be treated, because some of us don't know that yet. I may not know how I want to be treated by a partner, by a friend, by a colleague, by a worship. Like, I may not know how I want to be treated yet. So in order for us to get to that part, there are some other, foundational.
In addition to that, some people don't know that everybody won't treat them the way that they treat them. So they might run around being, nice, beautiful people, helping people, and thinking that, oh yeah, these people will treat me that way if I treat them that way.
Yeah.
And then realizing that doesn't always happen. And that's why the boundaries are so important. I watched the Red Table Talk yesterday. The most recent episode, which was all about boundaries, and I was loving it. And so I was definitely like, I love that, everybody shared their experiences of how their boundaries have been violated, and how there's emotional, physical, and material boundaries.
Okay.
And so they had a woman on there who wrote a book about boundaries and everything. And material is when people use your stuff and they just assume they can, or borrow your things and assume they can. Usually if you're living in close proximity or have like some type of really close relationship. And then you got people who try to push their views on you or take advantage of your want to be a team player. And so they just kind of want it to be their way and not taking into account how you would like it to be. And I don't even know which example that was, but I got a little winded coming from the kitchen to the couch. When I tell you,
please, I'm tired. Please leave me alone.
Talking and walking and then thinking at the same time. What was I thinking? But yeah, three types. It was a good episode. It was a good one. They had Lauren London on there as the guest in place of Willow.
Wow, love her. Oh man.
Me too.
Yeah, that sounds good. I want to catch that. Shout out to the Red Table Talk.
And I've actually been seeing a lot lately where people don't like that show. And I was surprised.
People do not want to deal with their stuff. And so much so that even when they see, can observe someone else dealing with their stuff in full transparency, it seems to be a problem. And I say that really because most recently where I've really seen a lot of pushback, and it wasn't even just about like overall the Red Table Talk, it was more so everything, and this is kind of off of, but I was going to get us back to our topic, but I'll get us there in a second. But just to take a tangent for a second of how people were like gunning for Jada.
Yeah.
About, how, and it is so crazy of how people just do not listen. People do not, then at the least, even once you hear something and you're not able to apply it to your own self, which sometimes happens, right? And this is really still within our topic, and I'll tell y'all why in a minute. But because it's all about like self-talk, what you're talking to yourself about. So that's why it's on there. I said I was gonna say in a minute, but let's just drop that there. But so to hear what she said, she literally said the fact that, and this is for those of you that may not know what we're talking about. So Red Table Talk, hosted by Jada Pinkett Smith, along with her daughter Willow Smith and her mother. I forget her name. I know it's Adrienne. I totally forget her last name. And so those are usually the three. And I know in this particular episode, it was just Jada and her mother, and then Gwyneth Paltrow, if I'm not mistaken. And so Gwyneth Paltrow is speaking and talking about, I think, like marriage and like keeping the bedroom fresh. Gammy, thank you. And so shout out to Jada, Willow, and Gammy. And so Gwyneth is speaking about that, and then I remember, so the controversy is about Jada's response, and her sharing her experience, literally saying, "Yeah, Will and I have had some." I wish I had exact, and I didn't even think we were going to touch on this, but forgive me. Also, I'm paraphrasing, right? So I'm say that again. I'm paraphrasing for anybody that might try to come for my neck. Like that's not what she said. But paraphrasing is that she said, "Will and I have had some issues, just like keeping it like fresh in the bedroom, and we have been married since we were 22 years or for 22 years is around the number 22, and so meaning that since they were very young up until now, they're in what 40s, I believe now, and so just talking about the fact that it's been a very long time." That they've been together, and so to keep it fresh, that alone, before she gets any deeper, that alone is enough for anybody that is truly listening and is able to receive anything. That's enough for somebody to be like, oh, okay, I get that. That was my response, because initially I only saw how everyone that was against what she was saying and talking about how she's embarrassing him again and this and the third. Now, now I'm gonna lie, that whole thing back in the day with what's the child's name?
August Alsina.
Thank you. Like I was like, okay, Jada, now, ouch, right? But I also know how to mind my business. So, so me hearing, like just seeing people's response at first, before hearing or seeing what she said, I was just like, uh-oh, Jada, what's going on now? So once I see it again, and I just not like I went looking, but eventually it comes out. And so I hear what she said verbatim and I read it. And I'm like, are y'all kidding me? Like y'all were literally, and I'm saying y'all as whomever was so against what she said, literally did not hear what she said. And that sometimes can be discouraging to want to take on, a platform such as this to really speak your mind, because unfortunately, I keep learning it's a tough lesson for me to get, that people will choose to hear what they want to hear regardless.
Yeah. And the thing is, the sucky part about the whole situation is, because in my personal opinion, I don't care what she said, right?
How about that?
For me, it's the way that they drag women and don't drag men
easily, right?
When they share things that might put them in a bad light, or might put their situation in a bad light. But for me, even without ever watching all the episodes of Red Table Talk, I always felt like it's things that people may need to hear. Because many times, and I can't stress it enough, so many situations throughout my life, I wasn't sure if other people were experiencing it. I thought it was just me. Yep. So I'm sitting here wondering, like, because people don't be talking about stuff.
Exactly.
And so people be so programmed to keep everything vague and keep everything short and keep it all private. But what's the purpose of keeping it private if you don't even know how to deal with the situation?
How about that? That's good. And that literally why I say, and what I said earlier, that I love to hear people say, I love a good conversation, or to appreciate conversations or talking or dialogue or healthy communication. I love to hear that, because I need that to catch fire. I need that to take wind, and just to spread amongst the masses, simply because that is so key, Jasmine. Like that is literally how I feel still. There are still things that I share now. I'm like, or really that I'll hear other people say, and I just sit back and try not to kind of jump in or try not to cut them off, but I'm in awe, like, oh my gosh, me too. I was experiencing this, or I thought this, I heard this, or this happened to me, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. That's the thing. It doesn't always have to be a tragedy. It doesn't always have to be trauma or dramatic. It can be something very simple, like, wait, y'all are making jokes about stubbing your toe, so y'all stub y'all toe in the middle of the night too? It's not just me, like, I mean, just things, and that is literally why this platform is so important to me.
It was this reel or TikTok or whatever back when the pandemic first started, and I died laughing because I wondered if I was the only person. And it was like, when masks are mandatory, and you gotta get your mask, and the lady had her mask down on the floor up under the seat on the passenger side. And then the camera was like underneath the chair though. So you just see her reaching around all this other stuff, trying to put on this mask to be protecting us. But
exactly, a real thing.
Some of us, not all of us, I'm sure, but I was definitely one of those people.
Okay, same here as well. Now we're trying to no, really, I'm literally thinking about how sometimes it's like, oh, I didn't stuff this mask in my cup holder couple to all right. Let me get this fresh one. I'm tripping. Let me chill out. So yeah, definitely. Like as much as I, for the most part, like stayed like very like on it, but have definitely slipped. And that's the thing. We don't want to just wear it out loud. Like, and it doesn't have to be. I'm trying to figure it out of how to really put that, because for some people, they feel like, I'm not about to wear, my shortcomings out loud and proud, which in a sense, I would want you to feel empowered and free enough to do so. But then it also, it's not even a catch-22, but I think it's always, life is about finding a balance. So then it's finding the balance along with living out loud, along with your own discernment and like your grace comes in, your integrity. That's where all of those pillars, like when we were talking about the golden rule, talking about some foundational parts and foundational morals that lead up to you really being able to treat others how you want to be treated. Just to get to that part, there's some background that you need to do. So the same thing as far as this, just that, there's work for us to do, and it's okay. But everything falls in line and comes together. It's about holistic living. That is for everybody. That is not for, the thing that, that's for the white folk. We hear holistic, that's white people stuff. Like we would easily dismiss that. And that is not the case. I am trying, even though I don't even want to use that word trying anymore. I'm attempting my best at living holistically and just trying to be whole with self. Like it's the best I can do.
And what's so funny too, another thing to piggyback off of you with is it's absolutely okay for those people to talk about Jada. You know why? Because it creates a dialogue. Mm-hmm. Nobody 100% agrees with the people who are against it. And so while some people get upset and they might get a little debatey, the dialogue is important. Difference of opinions is important. Yes. Arguments with a solution are important. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's doing what it's supposed to do.
That's good.
People talk about it.
That's good. That's good. And the only thing I don't necessarily agree with in the moment, but I feel like it could and should do what it's supposed to do. So I agree totally with everything else that you said up until then of, that arguments and, difference of opinion. Absolutely. Even me personally, I say that I enjoy like a healthy debate. Right. But that's the part of, for us, for it, in order for it to do what it is supposed to do, that's the part that a lot of us are missing, is that it has to be healthy communication. It has to be, a healthy dialogue. We come into it, and I'm saying we, because I'm sure at some point, I know either in the past or just something, even if I didn't recognize that I did it, but still sometimes we come into situations just judgmental. We want to we think that having a difference of opinion means that I have to judge this person. That's not necessarily the case. It is not your place to judge. No one, ever.
But one thing I will say that I've noticed about people tend to respect the opinions of people that they really respect. Mm-hmm. And so while they might have a debate with somebody about it, they might also go talk about it with somebody else who can deliver it to them in a way that's like, actually, for some of us, that's our parents. Some people it's an elder. Some people it's a stranger, because some strangers do walk up to you and talk about serious topics. And I usually listen. I'm not one of those people that like kick strangers or like, all right.
Same. I be feeling stuck, but I'm like, okay with that. Like, yeah, okay. Right. We can talk about that, sure.
Yeah. And then sometimes I'll pull off, like, I'm big on reflecting on conversations. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I do it more than other people, because I'll replay a conversation in my head like 50 times. So like over the course of time, and it's like one moment when I look back, I might still be in my mindset. Mm-hmm. Then over time, I might look at it a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And then I look at it a different way. Then I might come to a middle ground. Or I might wind up saying to myself, they were right.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends.
Okay. The
But
beauty of reflection.
everybody doesn't do that. But I think that those conversations could allow it. And yeah, healthy debates are important,
Yes,
because when people
that
start to feel disrespected, then they are now no longer paying attention to the conversation, and they're focusing on the disrespect.
absolutely, absolutely, and we know this, that naturally people walk away from things remembering nothing else, remembering how they felt, and so even in the moment, because in order for us to reflect on it, we had to have felt that way at some point. So in a conversation, within a dialogue, within a debate, or even within an argument, once you feel, disrespected or unheard, unseen, you feel that in that moment. And I don't know what your response to that is. I know mine personally is shutting down easily. And I've been called out on it in dating relationships and work situations. Have been like, Benia, I saw that you shut down in this meeting. Like, what happened? What was said? And then it's just like, you know what? Because I didn't feel like arguing with this person and showing them how stupid they were, or whatever. But
Yeah.
the point, it's just like of learning what your responses are. And we're really, I don't know if anyone feels as though, I'm hoping that no one feels like we're far off, or we're actually totally still under the topic for tonight, as far as the conversation that you're having with yourself, because then that we know that is directly reflected within the other relationships that you have.
Yeah.
Like
most people tell themselves something that they heard before that made
I'm
them
glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. That's so good. Because I was getting around to sharing this. I'm gonna get back to sharing these memes and stuff that I find like for the show topic. I'm like posting like before the show. Because I realized these past few weeks, oh wow now. I've just been keeping them in my notes. But this one says, I'm glad you just said that, Jazz. This one says, your brain believes what you tell it. If you are only focusing on what you don't have, you will never see what you have in life. When I say the second part, while it is powerful, that first part is enough. Like, your brain believes what you tell it. So it is so very important for the conversation that you constantly have with yourself to be a positive one, because we know that while the world may not always be positive all the time, even understanding that realistically you may not feel positive all the time, but you can still be this positive being, this positive representative, this positive reflection, as to what it looks like to be an overall positive person, because you're able to, bounce back. And the more you work on that, and the more you continue to work through your healing journey and self-love and self-care, is that you get to a place where you're able to bounce back quicker than you have before. Whereas you may have been able to become angry easier, at some time ago. Now it's just like, what, it takes me a little while to get there. Or once I do, I'm able to simmer down a little quicker, easier. Go ahead, Jay.
And I feel like this is basically what you were saying. Checking yourself, because of course you might slip back into bad habits. If you've even recognized that you're really like basically talking yourself out of something or whatever, or making yourself feel bad about not doing something or whatever it is, just acknowledging that and recognizing it almost immediately. And I apologize to myself. And I'll say, like, Jasmine, why do you say that? And then I'll say something to counteract it.
That's so good. Ooh. Oh my goodness, that's so good. Oh, B-tip. Was it second one, third one? I don't know. B-tip of the week again. I'm pulling them straight from Jay. These are the J tips, y'all. My bad. I can't even call them B-tip. These are J tips. This one, Miss Ma'am just said she apologizes to herself. Do you know how powerful that has got to be? Because I will admit that I was really rehearsing in my head so I wouldn't forget it, because I didn't even think to note it in my notes to remind myself to say this after you were finished speaking. That I was thinking that I really wanted to share with everyone something that I found myself in quite a few conversations recently of just advising folks to do. And I might have said it here semi-recently of, find just, I guess as a reminder now, really to, at some point or another, very soon, just look at yourself in the mirror. Like, even if, get to a place where at some point you are, maybe completely bare and you're looking at yourself in a full body mirror. And if you have maybe not even, I don't want to say issues, but just if you need, help getting there, of just absolutely loving yourself and all that. So that's one, activity. But when I say at least just face to face, up close and personal, look yourself in the eyes, because you find out how easy or how difficult you find yourself, or you find it to look at yourself directly in the mirror at yourself, like in your own eyes. Or see if you feel like you have to keep looking off. A lot of people have issues with direct eye contact anyway, and that's a thing, right? That's a thing to work with and work through. But the mere fact that Jasmine just said that she apologizes to herself is so, like, that is monumental. It's so powerful. And I can't even remember the last time I even apologized to myself. And it's something that I have literally internally said, you know what, we finna do that. Hopefully tonight or something. I got some homework to do, Lord have mercy. But I really plan to do that very soon. And I don't want it to be, because if you're apologizing to yourself, you don't want it to be just you don't want it to be an apology that you probably received at some point in your life of somebody saying, oh, sorry. You want it to mean something. You want to know why you're apologizing to yourself, and you also want to know what you plan to do to make this better, so that way this apology is not, null and void. So, that is...
Well, I think you talked about the last episode. Mm-hmm. I definitely talk to myself. So...
Same, as you should.
I'm not in my head. So,
and that's okay too. Same.
Usually when I do it, it's a whole conversation. So it's like, oh, why was you, Jizzy? What is wrong with you?
Right.
That's what you need to say. And then I really I make it a point to hype myself up. Like, I try to talk to myself the way I talk to other people when I hype them up. Mm-hmm. With that same exact energy. When I do my affirmations, my mantras, whatever, even when I'm in the mirror, because I love mirrors.
Same.
So I got I said, I know I probably seem so vain to people. I have 2 full body mirrors, one in the hallway.
As you should.
Just randomly. So when I come out my room, I could look at myself.
Yes.
And then one right by my front door next to my TV. Mm-hmm. So when I go to sit on the couch, I could look at myself again.
No, but... yeah, no, really. I don't want to count how many mirrors I have in here, but yes. And I've always been that way. Yes. So I get it.
Yes. And pictures. I like pictures. It was recently a thing where I discovered that other people didn't like taking pictures, maybe in my teenage years.
Yeah.
Maybe I was just so foreign to that because my mother was big on pictures.
Oh, I love
we used to take pictures a lot. Oh. And me and my brother liked it. It was fun.
Good. Yeah.
And so I've never been afraid of pictures. Now, do I always like the way they come out? No. But I love taking pictures.
Yeah.
And to me, pictures captivate memories, of course, because we don't know when we'll leave this earth.
Yeah.
And for me, more than anything, pictures is for what I leave behind for other people to hopefully keep my memory alive.
Yeah, seriously. That's good.
That's
really good. Yeah. And I get that. That is something, because I know I come from a family where we really did not take a lot, we can say that we have some pictures, yes, but take pictures and actually I look in awe and excited and happy for families that get together, take, holiday pictures or just pictures just because and all that. It's just wow, this is so new to me. And I'll even admit that it's so, I can say foreign, I won't say new, but foreign to me, because I know my daughter's Gigi, she's really been asking, and she, I remember she set up family portraits years ago now. Lord have mercy. My sister, my daughter's aunt is so young in this picture. That's why I'm laughing. That is so long ago. And so in recent years, she has asked and requested, I want, all of y'all, I just want to get together. So at some point, it was supposed to be for a holiday that passed. It was supposed to be for her birthday, a surprise gift for her birthday that passed. It's just been on and on and on. And I know that my part, and I'm usually somebody that always tries to make sure I just pull anything, stop the world, for Gigi, right? And that is just one thing I have not, because it is so foreign to me. So it's to give energy to something that I don't know it's just foreign. It's just that. It's foreign, and it's hard to pull myself out of it. It's like I wish I just had just a little more energy from, one of the, because for a while it was like that I and one other person were like the older than like the actual like adults. And so now that Sydney's aunt is older now, she's one adult. So maybe like I'm sure like so many years coming along, but I do the point is that I really love the people that is a normal thing, because again, if it's foreign to you, and then I realize of how what you just said, it made me connect everything together just that quick, of that one of it not being a normal thing in from my own personal family. Then just me personally, I've never really been a person to capture pictures like in a moment. And I remember like always reflecting back, like, oh man, these are places that people have gone or are raving about now. And I think I've been there, but I don't have any proof and I have a bad memory. So okay, so maybe I'll get better, right? Or just even getting pictures of myself or having people take pictures of me, or like that awkward thing of asking, like whatever, just before that was the thing with with the little digital cameras, like asking somebody to hold your camera and take a picture of you and all that. Like I just was not that person.
It's so funny because everywhere I go, and I actually do forget to take pictures sometimes, especially like scenic stuff. But everywhere I go, if I'm in a public place and we get together pictures, strangers always offer. And I just always, in my mind, with my low level of skepticism that I be having on people, I be like, do they look like before I say yes, I have to size them up to see if they look like they'll run off with my phone.
Right, you better run off.
For sure.
And that's okay. I think that's allowed. It's just so funny to me. Just really like the small things. And so this topic stretches from one end of the earth to the other and back around again, just because it really is about one of your brain believes what you tell it. And so what is it that you're talking to yourself about? And so I guess, so many times have I said like, I don't really take the pictures. I don't really like the pictures. Whereas even in this conversation, I'm reflecting right now. I'm like, well, I'm quick to, capture a picture of someone, especially once I had Sydney. Once I had my daughter, it's like, I'll love just a moment of just, the people that she loves and the people that love her, they might hold her, or a moment where they're walking together, something I want to snap it. I want to remember that. But then I know that just I'll admit that even like in my singleness, right? For prime example, that it's made me think of like, dang, I really cannot wait until the days where someone, it's just in house and it's just natural that they would just capture, moments that, I have with her, like that I have moments to just see it. It's something about just being able to see it, in picture form and like a moment captured. And so it's just funny of just what it is that we'll continuously tell ourselves, because then that's probably why I've continuously, shied away from taking pictures or getting pictures, or even that awkward thing of asking someone like, hey, take this picture real quick. Like I just never, and I mean, I say awkward because it's just awkward for me, but say if like the folks that, when I attend church every Sunday, like there are people that always take their, their Sunday picture outside the church. And I'm just like, it could be a Sunday where I love how I hooked me and Sydney up together, or Sydney picked out our outfits and I'm proud of it or whatever. And I just think not, because of what I continuously tell myself. So then we think of what it is that you tell yourself as far as what you could miss out on because of what you're talking to yourself about, what you're not saying. And just before I go any further, because I really wanted to say something about earlier when you were talking about intimidation, I guess that's really where that ties in. As I know, really, you were talking about with other folks, but even with ourselves, that I've chosen to be intimidated by this thing. So that's why the awkward is probably my next label that I probably want to look as I'm saying it out loud, y'all. I'm like, do I really want to? But I think this is the next label that I want to, shed off of myself, because being awkward, while it is like a feeling, we emote, I guess, awkwardness, but it's still, I can admit that it's still a place of comfort. It's a place where I can find myself content and just say, oh, no, I'm awkward. That's okay. right? And potentially miss out on opportunities of, even if it's just having a moment captured, And so I like the notes that I made as you were talking about intimidation earlier was, you said, lose out, and you were talking about leverage and power, whereas like that other people would intimidate others because of their intimidation and how their fear of losing out and losing their leverage and their own power. But I mean, we think of that within self, what we're doing or what we're talking to ourselves or what we're talking ourselves out of, and where we're necessarily and isn't that crazy to think about, that how I could talk to my own self, I can lose my own leverage and lose my power because I've intimidated myself. And as I'm talking to my conscious self, that I'm pouring that
intimidation. You give your power away.
Exactly. And that's all just within, from me to me, let alone then what am I really allowing to happen or to be stripped from me from other forces, external forces, other people, the society that we live in, whatever the case may be. Like I'm probably more easily and more prone to give away my power and then see it as, perception is something else too, and then perceive it as, oh, they took my power away. Well, or did you hand it away because you've been taking your own power out of yourself and away from yourself for so long? And given, we know that a lot of that is trauma-based. So I'm not there, y'all know here on the B-Mix, there's no judgment, but you have to really think of things in a different light of what it is that and am I saying that you're doing so much damage to yourself and all that? Yes, I am saying that, right? But I'm not saying that you are so damaged and that you've done so much damage to yourself that you cannot turn this thing around, that you cannot get better. That's not what's being said at all. It's to shed light on the things that we think are so simple and think nothing of, and the damage that is doing to ourselves.
Trauma responses.
Exactly.
One of the things that Lauren London spoke of on the Red Table Talk yesterday, she said that she came from a family that was like very strict with children, and like kids are to be seen, not heard, and your opinions don't matter. It don't matter what you want, and all of those things that can manifest in adult life in two different ways. You could be a very submissive child and you bite your tongue, you don't do certain things, you don't step up because you're afraid to be shot down, which is something that happened with me. And she said that for a long time, she did not know how to address her boundaries without anger, which I absolutely related to. And I had a conversation about that with a co-teacher that wasn't my co-teacher, but another co-teacher at a teacher meeting when I was teaching. And so she was saying, those boundaries are hard when you work with somebody with such close proximity. Sometimes you get so afraid to speak up for yourself that you can only do it when you're mad, which is something that I still sometimes battle with, especially because within my family, more than anything. But I mean, I can get angry with other people too, but not to the level at which I can with my brother or my father. And so
Gotcha. I hear you. That is something, and that's exactly, that falls right into line with what I was saying as far as the damage that we're doing on ourselves, because it is a response from something that has already been done to us in maybe a different way or even the same. Because here's something, okay, here's a pill that we all just need to swallow. I know that it's been said, especially when the conversation was initially being introduced, I know that's redundant, but just being introduced around like mental health and trying to turn that boat around of, it just not being like, oh, you going to a therapist, oh, you're crazy, right? So trying to turn that around in recent time, very recent time, has that, been turning around. And so when that was being introduced, it was, where was I going with that? Shoot, don't lose it, Benia, don't lose it. See, self-talk. Of like, oh, just that, of then what we come from. And so the conversation was like, don't be a product of your environment. And while that had the right intentions behind it, here's the pill we have to swallow. You are the product of your environment.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm gonna say it again. I want you to catch it out there. Okay. You are the product of your environment. Where the work comes in is what you are willing to, or the environment that you choose to cultivate yourself and to be created, around you and for you to dwell within. You have, when we talk about what you have control over, the energy, the spaces, and this takes me to this other meme that I actually wanted to share. It takes me right into this. I'm gonna read this and go right back to that. You become a master of your life when you learn how to control where your attention goes. You talked about attention earlier, Jazz. Value what you give your energy and time to. So the question I had around that is, where are you spending your energy, right? So like it's currency. You have to think of your energy as that. I know a lot of people talk about that, time. My time is so important. I ain't about to waste my time on nobody. Can't nobody steal my time from me. It's your energy as well, baby. Okay? Do not spend that energy all frivolously. Like, do not be, So, you want to keep in mind of the fact that, energy is expensive. You are expensive simply because you are the product of your environment. So the environment in which you find yourself in, if this family member, this friend, this colleague, these different community groups that you may find yourself in, and I'm talking even virtually, right? So in these different groups that we're in on Facebook and I guess IG and just Reels or whatever shows up on your timelines, you have control over that. You don't have to keep following somebody that it just brings you to a place, a low place when you see the page or their name pop up. Delete them. I was about to yell. I had to calm down. Y'all, it is okay to block and to unfriend certain people. Please, I had to say that. Please get out of that feeling of like, oh no, I ain't gonna be petty. I ain't gonna unblock her. I ain't gonna block him or block her or unfriend them. Do it. If need be, if it brings you down, do it. Go ahead, Jay. Sorry, I had to get that out.
I agree. And it's so funny because it made me think of a part of my journal. So, oh wait, I got this blurred thing on, but I was going to read it to you anyway.
Okay.
So it's the section about vibrations. And so I said, are you vibing low? Be mindful that we all possess the ability to make choices on how we spend our time. These activities emit different energy levels called vibrations. The low vibrations emit negative energy levels, and high vibrations emit positive energy levels. Watch what you watch, listen to, and even who you spend your time with. You want these things to be aligned with your frequency or the frequency you would like to achieve. And so then I go through to have like a checklist. I have a checklist of low vibing activities, and some examples of low vibing activities are gossiping, criticizing, or judging, which we just talked about, which is one of the main things that a lot of people do through social media, actually. And so negative self-talk, which is the second thing on the list, which is what we've been talking about this whole time. Junk food and processed food. Now, that's a struggle that we all can familiar with. And living in the past, browsing social media, only because browsing social media and actually watching TV are considered to be low vibrational because they're mindless activities. And so, especially depending on what you're watching or what you're pouring into yourself through doing those activities, it can bring you down. And that's why Benia said, unfollow if you got to.
It's so
holding on to anger, guilt, or resentment, alcohol, drugs. Now, of course, we can all relate to both of those things, maybe different drugs, but of course, one is legal right now. So, but
still, it's important.
This is one of the other things that I recently learned about. Well, yes, some of us may partake in those things. You also have to be mindful of who you partake in those things with, because alcohol and drugs opens your energy level to be susceptible to energy vampires, people who are there to suck your energy, and usually it's people who have positive energy or people who give them positive energy. You may not necessarily be a positive person, but maybe you are super supportive to this friend because this friend goes through a lot. So then you constantly find yourself trying to make this person feel better. That is them, or somebody who puts their self down, because some people do negative self-talk out loud, not just in their head. So some people might, oh, I'm so fat. And actually they say that is a way to suck other people's energy, because you're seeking people to tell you that you're wrong.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, you're not fat, or oh no, you look nice, and da 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 da. So you want to be mindful of saying things like that.
Absolutely.
And then watching reality TV. I'm not really a reality TV watcher, but like literally, it's nothing but chaos. And as a recent teacher, I can tell you, those little girls are in school acting like reality TV. Like in elementary school and middle school. I can only imagine in high school, because I didn't even work in there.
I can imagine. And I hear that loud and clear. Wow.
Working jobs that you hate is the next thing on the list. And comparing yourself to others. Always looking at the worst case scenario and being closed-minded. Now, this is just a short list, but I wanted to make sure that I incorporated things that we all commonly do, because sometimes it's easy for people to say, oh no, I don't do nothing wrong, and you sometimes don't recognize what your behavior can do, not only to other people, but what it can do to yourself.
Absolutely. That is so good. Thank you for sharing that. That's good.
I know we got to go on a commercial break, but when we come back, I could read the list of some higher vibrations. So things that you can do to lift your energy level, to help you not to be more in a positive headspace. And one of the things I do want to say before we go on break is that positivity is not something that's going to always exist, of course, because we do go through things that make us feel upset. But it's all about how you handle it. I personally, everything that I have researched about this, positivity is something that you choose, but it's not something that you expect to be an always ongoing thing. Feel those emotions, release them, and then find a positive place to go to. You don't want to stay there forever.
That's so good. And so we're gonna go straight through, because we're really almost about to close out for the night. But so I definitely want that list before we get out of here. So but let me just say this, that I'm glad that what you actually just said of like the choice. And remember, we talked about, because I had this in notes, and I actually skipped over earlier, but it comes right in at a better time now, about making the decision and deciding. So we talked about last week of the fact that, which still floors me, that ready, because I keep wanting to say the feeling of being ready, but ready is not a feeling, but a decision. And so if you can choose to be ready, and then even if you are not, remember earlier when I was saying about faking it, so you make it, right? That's one of those things that's okay. We can make a list of like things that's okay to fake it, until you make it. And telling yourself like, I'm ready, because then making that affirmation, making that statement, then makes you automatically want to step up to that and to feel that feeling, feel that space of being ready. Let me not call it a feeling. So see, I'm even working myself out of that. And that's okay, to bring awareness to ourselves and to realize like, oh, wow, something I thought was this way and something I even refer to, because we're talking about self-talk, positive and negative, or positive versus negative. And so like Jasmine said, that there are things that we have said. So be mindful of what you were saying earlier about like, it was something else, but it made me think of how I always talk about these trendy, negative self-talks, right? I speak against them often, and I haven't said it in a while, but I speak against them often, and I know it seems like I'm sucking the fun out of it, which I get, and that's okay. But I'm still going to keep saying it, that it's certain things like, y'all know how we say, and I get that in a sense, I get that it refers to, that I'm laughing so much, laughing so hard, I'm dead. Please don't speak that over yourself. Please don't speak that over yourself. I don't like it. I do not like it. Simple as that. I do not like it. So these simple things. And so as we know, and I always, incorporate of just, my firm belief system as far as, just spirituality and that everything is spiritual. So as a Christ believer, you learn and know that everything is spiritual. Even if you're not a believer, let me tell you that everything is spiritual. So when she's talking about vibrations and all of that, and she's talking about opening up and being easily susceptible to, energy vampires, that's so important. That's key to keep in mind, because there are people, and so we think that demons, enemy, however you have to say that, satanic, whatever, just of trying to suck the positive and the good and the light out of you that you have, as simple as something simple as, I'm so glad about the examples that you used, as far as somebody just opening up. And I feel like anybody has been in that predicament, whether it was you as the person saying it, or just standing there and being like, okay, that was weird. Why you just say, oh my God, my shoes I got on is so ugly.
Yeah.
You'd be like, so you looking for, and my problem is I get annoyed. So I'm like, I'm definitely like, because you're looking for this. And especially if I'm not in a place. So that's about being mindful of where you are, about where you're spending your expensive energy, because you are expensive. You are a prized possession. You don't have to, being a prized possession doesn't mean you have to look down upon people and feel as though you're better than them, but to look upon your brother and your sister to your left and to your right, and all of those around you, to understand that what we say earlier, we are all humans experiencing the human experience, or going through the human experience, right? And so to keep that in mind, that it is a choice. And then just the last part about when you spoke about that positivity, you don't always feel that all the time. That goes back to the environment that you cultivate, that environment that you create. When you get into a place, because just as Jess says, as we know, that things happen. It is life. You're lifing. Life is not guaranteed to be peaches and cream all the time, even though it is all working out for your good. You just have to work through it long enough to be able to find out what that ugly part, that bad part, that part that felt bad, why that and how that worked out for your good, right? It might feel bad now, but work out some good, down the road. And so you want to work through that long enough to be able to find that out. And so it's important for you to create that environment, around yourself, create your bubble, that when you don't feel at your most positive, when you're not vibrating at your highest frequency, I don't know, I feel like I'm getting better. It's just that it's for you to be able to feed off the environment that you create. Go ahead, Jen.
And to not focus so much on the negative, because negativity is going to happen, but that doesn't mean you have to keep your mind there. And so one of the examples I like to use, because this is something that I used to do a lot and sometimes still fall into that, because I never like to say like I'm 100% out of something, but I used to do it way more. Something bad happened, something stressed me out at work or whatever, I'm going to call as many people that answer the phone and talk about that same thing over and over and over again. Now, granted, I am also that same person to do the things for the good things too. So I always kind of been like a balancer, but even still, I don't need to call all those people to talk about that one situation. Also, in the course of a day, bad things happen and good things happen all day long. And so one of the things that I saw when learning about trying to be more positive was you don't give those negative things so much weight. You were stuck in traffic on your way to work. That don't mean you got to keep thinking about it for 3 hours because you already at work. It's done. One of the things is you made it to work safely. You did not get in a car accident on the way to work. Oh, your job is stressing you out, but you have a job, And so it's like always a negative and a positive. Just don't fester on the negative, because then it'll bring you down. And then now it's a domino effect. Now, everywhere you go, everything you do, those people that everywhere they go, they got a complaint. Like, oh, what's that? Oh, what's that? Why she got that on? And they just be like, oh my God.
Right, exactly. Yes. And you want to get to a place where you're able to see that on others. And again, it's not to judge, but to be able to see like, is that what I sound like? Is that what I, like? And when I reflect on this, I don't know, the reality TV so much, when I gossip about people, when I judge people, is that what I sound like? Like, so God gives us examples, like outward examples, to be able to see like, oh, now I'm not judging, but I get it. Exactly, to be able to see like, oh, that's what I look like. That is not who I want you to see when you look in the mirror. Now, if that is who you see initially, okay, that's a start. and then work from there, work to be that. And I love that Jazz said that she never says that she's fully out of something, because as we continuously say here, when the Beamic says that the healing process is a forever process. You're forever healing. There's something else that could come way down the road to test, the mountain that you just climbed in a particular area of how you're healing, over something, or how a wound is healing, in your life. And so it's a forever process, but that's not to discourage you. It's to encourage you that as you feel like, dang, I ain't reached the healed pool yet. No, you never do. And that's okay. None of us fully arrive. That's okay. That is totally okay. And just the fact that Jazz said that out the course of the day, that there are ups and downs and positive and negative things happening all the time. As believers, y'all know I'm going to always bring a piece in. As believers, that is literally why the Bible tells us, and why we encourage to say to pray without ceasing, to constantly pray to God all day long, all day long. Even the dumbest things that I just whisper up a little prayer about, it's totally okay. It's totally okay to do that in order to encourage yourself, because you get to a place of where, and me, y'all have no idea of how bad I used to be, really, 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 really late. And so I'm a little better now, but still. And so, but the fact that I've gotten to a place where, as I'm maybe trying to rush, but dang it, I shouldn't have been late. That's what I get. I rolled over or snoozed for that one last time or whatever. And then get to a place of you know what, Benia, you're late. Okay. Yeah. Now let's go from there. Let's move accordingly. Let's move, intentionally, but just okay. Because I used to be the person thinking okay, if I'm rushing all this, and I should be able to make it from one end of North Avenue to the other in 10 minutes. You can't, and you're not. And then that's unsafe, and cut it out, right?
And now you made the whole ride for no reason. And I started, when I realized I did that, especially when I was in social services, I said, I'm already late. It took an older coworker to say it to me, she was always late too, or she would come late with breakfast, and she was like, I was already late. And I truly did start. I was like, you know what? Let me go to 7-Eleven that's right outside,
right,
and get myself together like I was on time.
And I get that. And then I'm not encouraging anybody to choose to be, but yes, right, just to embrace the fact of what is what is, and that's okay. And to work from there. And then as you acknowledge what is, you're able to work it and to make it better. That's it. Awareness, reflection, all of these things that are going to continuously throw out at you, because they are that important. They are that important. My last piece before Jazz shares the second list with us is that when she spoke about, I absolutely, that was me on 100%, in 100% on so many different levels of being the person. Because it was back when I had more than one best friend, and so I would call all their phones, run down everybody. And so it would be times that I knew this had to be for a reason, times that none of them answered, and I mean none, and I would be blown, how does no one answer, right? And so just to add the piece in about being a believer, I understood what helped me, and I'm telling you what helped me. What helped me is to realize, just again in the Bible, when we learn about as Christ believers, is that it's better to turn to God and tell Him first. So as you are dealing with yourself, you should be dealing with your Creator, dealing with your higher being, dealing with your divine self. You should be feeding that, because eventually what is really supposed to be at your highest vibrations, that your spirit man dominates your flesh man, not the other way around. We think because this flesh man is the outsider, that's who dominates. That is not how it should be. So a lot of us are functioning, and I'm saying us, right? And I'm still working on that. And so when I got so much relief that literally sometimes it would be I done called everybody's phone, they didn't answer. Then I just put the phone down, Lord, I should have told you about all this mess and and how this, and I'm angry in this. And I feel, when I say immediate relief, better than me getting on the phone repeating everything 5-6 times. So just take that piece and run.
Also realizing that some people like to hear about your problems, and that's
good. That's good.
They want to hear that you're doing that.
They only want to hear it, but then they just may not be able to fix it or help it. And sometimes, so we try to figure out like, oh, it's okay. You just want me to hear you, or you want me to try to fix it. But even if they are there with the right intentions, they just can't fix it. That was me, because I'm usually the fixer, in a setting. So, and that's okay. And so I needed to call on who can fix and who can, give me some relief out of my situation. But go ahead, Jess. I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
But one of the
things, that list.
My bad. One of the things that energy vampires do is they like to hear that you're doing bad in certain situations. And so you absolutely have people out here who pray for people's demise, people's struggles, or whatever. They're not praying to whoever they supposed to be praying to, but they definitely is hoping for the worst.
Okay. Hi, Nina.
Hi. And so I did actually leave off the last 4 things on the low vibrational: bad attitude, negative beliefs, assuming the worst about people, cursing, and addictive behaviors. I do think that I used to be a love addict, because people only talk about certain types of addicts. But, you got sex addict. A love addict is a real thing.
Yes, it is.
And drug addict, of course, alcohol abuser or whatever. But here are the high vibrations.
Nina. I'm sorry, I'm saying
it's okay. I missed what she said. And I do want to read the quote before the high vibrational, because most of my motivational quote, you can't see it because it's blurred. Oh, that's kind of good. Copyright. So you may not control all the events that happen to you, but decide not to be reduced by them. And that's by Maya Angelou. High vibrational activities is meditation, practice mindfulness, yoga, doing things that are aligned with your values, watching uplifting programs and avoid violent programs. And actually, the news can be a low vibrational activity just because of the negativity that it festers on, and it creates fear and anxiety. Not to say that you shouldn't watch the news at all. Walk in nature, eat healthy, say no to anything that drains you, remove clutter from your environment, appreciate everything, find the good in every situation, laugh more, treat yourself with love and care, take one tiny action towards your dreams and goals, take responsibility for yourself, forgive and have compassion, listen to mood-lifting music, have more meaningful conversations, be generous, give from your heart, replace fear with faith, let go of the need to control, focus on abundance, not lack, focus on what you want, disconnect from technology regularly, and move your body and state what you are grateful for daily.
Love that. Nina said she loves that quote. Listen, Jasmine, thank you for even thinking to share the low. I was just about to say, I was about to plug it in. I was about to say, you got to say it. Oh, because I was about to say it's not clear.
It's the Queen Me. I created a self-love activity journal. It's on Amazon, and it's called Queen Me Self-Love Activity Journal.
Get a copy now.
Me has 2 E's on it.
Yes, Queen Me, MEE. Get that copy right now. It includes the list of the low vibrational activities, includes so many other quotes, powerful quotes, and it includes the list of high vibrational activities that she just shared. Thank you so much, Jess, for even feeling led to share the low vibrational activities in order for us to appreciate, because I will say I can appreciate even more the list of high vibrational activities, and just it brings about awareness, and that is what we are here on the B Mix to do. So thank you again, as always, for being a part of this conversation, just how much you contribute to the movement that we are attempting, to contribute to as a whole here in the B Mix. So thank you, y'all. Thank you.
Watching the B Mix is a high vibrational activity.
Period. Okay. Listen, on that note, because y'all know I can't take like pats on the back too much, then I feel all awkward. That's my little place. But thank you to each and every last one of you, always as viewers, live, and even for the the replay. I appreciate each and every last one of you. I don't think I tell you enough, and I really plan to do more of that for each of you to know how much I truly appreciate your support, and not even just for the support. I appreciate the fact that you listen and watch the show, and get something from it for yourself. And so Nina said, send me an Amazon affiliate link so you get paid for my purchase extra too. Period. So make sure you send that to Nina. ASAP.
And follow me on Instagram, Nina.
Yes,
At Queen's Melanin.
I was about to get it right. I'm glad you kept the notes. I was like,
Queen with the ED at the end.
Yes.
So I also have a self-love empowering statement t-shirt collection and a podcast as well, which Benia will be on next on my live on Instagram next Wednesday, and she'll be a guest on my podcast the following week, which is, I don't know if I want to use it's called Real Woman Blank.
It's okay for that, but y'all about to see it. We're about to be posting it here, so look out for the page on the B-Mix and even on my personal page and all that. You'll see all of the shout outs. Or overtime, we got to get out of here. But again, thank you, Jasmine. Thank you to each and every last one of you. Jasmine's Instagram is actually showing below. And I love you too, Nina. Thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone. Enjoy this journal once you get it, because you can't not enjoy it. Until next time, until next week, be sure to look in the mirror at your reflection, stare yourself in the eyes, and apologize to yourself for holding on to anything that you should have let go of, and work from there. Be the mix that you are and embrace that. Tell your story so that way you can appreciate someone else's. Until next week, peace.
Peace. Thank you.